Mic check.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. All right, I'm Will Decker, co-director of the brand and retail team here at Plug and Play. Very excited to have you. I'm excited to kick things off here. Welcome to day 2 of the Spring Summit 2020. What we've got is batch 13 Expo for the brand and retail program. There we are, day 2 afternoon. So thank you for joining us. If this is your first event, if not, welcome back. We're really excited for the program this afternoon. Batch 13 for brand and retail, that makes us the longest running program here at Plug and Play. So fantastic. I'm joined here with my co-director, Kevin Parcatu. Fantastic. And hey, all right, everyone. All right, well, let's get going. As you know, we're joined from folks who are old friends and some new ones. Here at Plug and Play, we're helping the world progress through innovation and connection. This is something more important today than it ever has been before. We're solving some really hard problems together, so we need a lot of ideas and innovations. We've seen many pivots, a lot of hustling, and a lot of creative and new ideas, and all about getting things done in today's new world. This was the beginning for Plug and Play. We have a legacy in Silicon Valley, and very early on in the dot-com boom, we saw many technology companies get started and grow from just a few, 3 or 4 people to 40, 50, hundreds of thousands. This is a shot in front of 165 University Avenue in downtown Palo Alto, just down the road from Stanford's campus. And that's right in front of what we call the Lucky Building. So today we do many different innovation activities, and the startups are always at the center of what we do. Which is these 3 main things. 1, Venture capital, Plug and Play is the most active investor in Silicon Valley at the early stages and the world, depending on the quarter. Corporate innovation, we accelerate more than 400 now major corporations across the world with their innovation activities. And we have themed accelerator programs around industries like today's brand and retail. So if you're looking for innovation activities to work with startup and outside ecosystems, Plug and Play has a tremendous amount of resources grouped in these areas, and many of our partners work with us across these three activity groups. Making Plug and Play one of the largest innovation activities around the world. What you're seeing here are the different accelerator themes, and there's some new ones. We had media and advertising launch last year along with sustainability, and recently COVID-19. So if you're looking for one area to go with all of the COVID-19 related technology, thought leadership, research, that all is on COVID-19 at plugandplaytechcenter.com. Check it out there or talk to someone at Plug and Play to get involved if you feel like you need to. A lot of exciting things happening that impact all these different areas you see here. Here's a view of the locations across the world where we have teams working with partners virtually today, of course, but these are local areas focused on local themes, drawing from our global resources. Having the largest network of startups and innovations, we can bring the most relevant technologies to these communities to get new ideas and technology to market faster. And we can't do it without our corporations. So thank you to many of our founding partners that are with us still today. It's you coming to the table with your problem areas, and we're hearing from you today. Some things now have been important for a long time, but today they're urgent and incredibly important. So thank you for trusting us and our teams in helping you find those types of solutions. Thank you for looking out to the startup community. Perhaps there's startups in the ecosystem that need a little bit more help now in terms of the resources that our corporations can provide. So being able to bring those two groups together has been incredible for our team. So thank you to all of our partners. Today's theme is the store of the future. We came together over 3 months ago and said, when someone walked into a store or was at home and went online, they needed to be recognized and get a familiar, personalized experience, whether that was one centered around convenience or one around curation. And there were all these different ways and technologies that needed to work together in order to deliver that. And that brings us to where we are today. We still have a group of incredible startups we're going to get to see at this expo graduation that fit this theme, but many have pivoted and included new solutions that focus on digital or other areas related to COVID-19. To talk a little bit more about that, I'd like to kick it over to my co-director, Kevin.
Yeah, so as many of you know, when we started this batch, the store of the future never really meant only in store. It meant online, it meant on your phone, it meant in the vehicle even. And what we've seen is that that thesis has really come to fruition right now during COVID-19. We've seen, if we study kind of technology and innovation, the financial crisis caused massive innovation within banks and the regulatory system. And, COVID-19 could be that kind of push the retail and the travel and other consumer industries needed to adopt new technology. So as shown in this slide, we're already seeing, brands that we don't partner with, but are really kind of adopting some new partnerships. On the left, we see Louis Vuitton that partner with Redbox in China that does a live stream shopping service daily. In the middle, we have BMW, which just launched sponsorship of 5 major esports teams for a 5-year deal. It's a multi-million-dollar partnership. And of course, on the right, many of you know, because it went viral, Nike is now hosting live workouts with both celebrity influencers and individuals as the key athletes. So this shows that, during this time, you can be innovative. It's just about adopting new channels. Secondly, a lot of our cohort, as Will mentioned, have shifted into this new place. Whether it's companies like Swift that now provide essential goods in their kiosks, or Lucky that's providing relevant advertisements within rideshare. There are times when you can change when COVID-19 comes about, and it's really about taking advantage of those opportunities. So we couldn't do any of this without the team. You'll see Will, myself, and of course Tanya, who's going to be our MC today. But this team is much larger. There are a bunch of Macs and computers that are buzzing right now, hoping to have all you here. So thank you so much to the team. We really couldn't have done it without you guys. So with that said, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. Her name is Sucharita Kodali. She's a VP and Principal Analyst at Forrester, covering all things retail and consumer. So Sucharita, happy to have you on the line.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And I am just going to share with you my slides here, and hopefully you will see them at any moment. As Kevin had mentioned, I am a retail analyst and have been studying the retail industry for well over a decade, and this is a period of time which is absolutely unprecedented. And the way that I think about this is that this is not unlike the Space Shuttle Challenger. For those of you who may remember, when the Space Shuttle Challenger took off, what happened was that the weather that particular day was unusually cold. And the data points that they had to reflect whether or not they would have a successful launch were not calibrated to the extremely low temperatures that that day held for the launch. And what ended up happening, of course, was what ended up happening, which was that a couple of minutes after the takeoff, it exploded. And in retrospect, it was because there was essentially an outlier in the temperature, and they didn't have data to reflect what that would be. And essentially, that is what we're seeing in retail right now. So this is data on the monthly retail growth from March over February in the United States that the U.S. Census records. And as you can see, it's pretty steady eddy going back to even the year 2000. And the lowest of the low numbers here prior to 2020 was in 2009 during the recession when it was negative 1.7%. And the upper limit here is a little north of 2% in the year following the recession. What we had in 2020 was a figure that was unprecedented, never before seen from a monthly sales growth figure. And because of that, I think it's very, very difficult to completely, with any confidence, prognosticate what will happen. And many of the themes and trends that we're even seeing that are reflecting some degree of success, we know that the essential retailers during the course of the pandemic have been allowed to stay open, and they've seen positive sales growth. But even amongst those retailers, they've seen less foot traffic. So I just pulled a couple of essential retailers, and this is data from Placer.ai on their overall levels of foot traffic. And you see Costco here, you see Kroger here, and everything that has the downward facing blues are where their annual year-over-year growth in foot traffic has been down. So pretty much since the start of the social distancing in the United States in late March, many of those numbers have not been positive, even for the essential retailers where their numbers otherwise are very positive. And what that means is that it's incredibly unclear what trends from the recent past are going to regain life, because so many of those trends were about experiential retail and about clustering people, businesses, concepts, and ideas into small spaces like food halls. And while they were largely well received in the era prior to 2020, they unfortunately face completely new realities with the truth around social distancing and concerns that consumers have about their own fears and worries. That said, there are three major changes that we can definitely expect to see that will influence and shape the retail landscape now and into the future. And what I will do is walk through each of these and some of the implications and the technologies that are impacting each of these. So first, cash crunches. The second thing that we're going to talk about are the contagion fears. And the third is the imperative that leaves to find new business models. So first, when we talk about cash crunches, there are three things that retailers are going to need to do to figure out how they can better preserve cash and the areas where technology can help support that. The first is they need to do more with less. They will inevitably have less labor available to them, either because there are workers that are simply just afraid to show up at work, or in some cases because they need to actually have fewer workers because they simply can't afford it. But at the same time, to provide that labor while having flexibility in the labor force. And I'll share some of the approaches that we've seen some companies employ in getting there. The second is to have better inventory management. And we know that inventory historically has been a mess for a lot of physical goods retailers. That's one of the advantages that e-commerce, of course, has. But even as things like marketplaces grow and dropship programs grow, the need for better comprehensive inventory management still doesn't go away. And then the third bit is leveraging some of the stores that may have to close in the future by converting them to dark stores or micro-fulfillment centers. So if you hear the expression MFC in the future, that's what that means. So first, with respect to store labor, what are we seeing happening, and what do I mean by flexibility and streamlining some of the labor pool? So it's a few different things. First is the ability to have on-demand marketplaces for your labor. Historically, the way that retailers worked was that they would have hourly workers that they simply call and schedule as needed. And typically, these are pools of workers who are typically only really available to a particular store. The idea of sharing that labor amongst other stores that may have bursts in demand, or even across retailers, is something that is unheard of and very, very uncommon. However, we are increasingly seeing marketplaces, companies like ShiftGig or Forge. And in Germany, there was actually an example where Aldi and McDonald's had shared workers because McDonald's had to be closed, but Aldi was left open because it was considered an essential retailer. And because one needed more workers while the other did not, there was the sharing of labor in that kind of a pool to enable that to happen. And this is where we see much, much more efficiency that works for retailers. So they don't have to necessarily be the only ones guaranteeing hours for the best sales associates, but you can spread that across a number of different merchants and actually deliver better. You can deliver more efficiency for the retailer, and then the store associate ultimately gets more hours too, which presumably over time delivers a stronger pool of store associates overall. We know that that's one of the biggest challenges in retail is the high amount of turnover, and often the issues associated with retraining those store associates and often not delivering great customer experiences in lockstep. Other issues are related to even just managing flow from the standpoint of features like crowdsourcing. And that is what Go Spot Check and Field Agent do, which is a significant part of any of a district manager or regional manager's job is to make sure that stores have actually been set to planogram, that they are in compliance with what brands want. And it's often very expensive and cumbersome to manage that, which is why in so many cases you may have a haphazardly set store or information that should be reflected on an e-commerce site about which aisle a particular product is. You've probably had that experience, right, where a website will say, this item should be in aisle bin 24, and you go to E24 and nothing is there. Well, that's because that store hasn't been set to compliance, and often there is some type of a gap in whether or not the workers have actually followed directions. But there are solutions, these crowdsourced solutions, that allow companies to better monitor that information. They can take photographs and send it back to corporate, and if something is not complied with, there is complete visibility as to what's happening or what's not happening, and then that provides opportunities for retailers to better manage the field. We are talking also about other opportunities with respect to labor and task management solutions being an opportunity. And there are companies like Theatro, which in a world of less labor, how do you make sure in a large format store that the store associate is in where you need them, that they are serving the most important needs, like for instance, managing the cash register and making sure that people aren't doing the lower value tasks because they didn't know that they needed to be in the front of the store. And that's where some of these technologies that allow texting between store associates or automatic queue vision technology to sense when there are a lot of people in line and that store associates, all hands essentially need to be on deck. That's what is where technology can play a role. For the most part, some of those technologies it's not really technology, it's just simply eyeballs, literally somebody seeing a line and calling people to the front with a loudspeaker. But there are ways to even make that more efficient in the future. From an inventory management standpoint, we're seeing more devices being deployed in the store, robotic solutions like this example from Zebra on the left-hand side, where literally this device does everything from sweeping floors to going up and down aisles, taking photographs basically of blank spaces so that it can identify if an item is out of stock. The example on the right-hand side, which is a small, lightweight drone from the company Pensa, does exactly the same thing. It uses small cameras to sense what is out of stock, and then it sends a signal either back to headquarters or somebody who needs to replenish that shelf with those new products. We know that anytime consumers go into a store, anywhere from, in a best case scenario, 10% of the time, in a worst case scenario, up to 30% of the time, items are out of stock. And part of the reason that they're out of stock is because the stores and whoever is managing the shelves may not even know that the item is out of stock and that it needs to be replenished. But this type of real-time information helps to improve that so you don't have those gaps. And especially as e-commerce grows, the advantage, of course, here is to make sure that those shelves are filled as efficiently as possible, because part of the challenge with e-commerce has been that most e-commerce needs to be fulfilled from basically warehouses that are located thousands of miles away. And ideally, more e-commerce would be filled in physical stores, but store inventory has historically been such a mess because there are not some of the robotic solutions that I presented on the previous page. And because of that, you are still left with these expensive DCs versus being able to leverage more of your stores. One of the things that COVID has done for the entire retail industry is it has moved more shoppers online. And that is what this data is essentially showcasing. This is data that Forrester pulled surveying about 1,000 U.S. customers. We have similar data in a few other markets like China, Italy, and France, and it all essentially reflects the same thing, where 41% of consumers say that they're purchasing more online. And a lot of that, though, is, of course, in sectors like grocery, because people simply either are scared of shopping, or the stores that they want to purchase in are closed, so they are forced to go to the e-commerce channel. Now, some of the ways that we do expect stores to evolve, particularly as we are talking about more stores being closed in the coming year for all of the financial challenges that these companies face, is to convert some of those stores to micro-fulfillment centers. And there are a few different examples of micro-fulfillment centers. You have companies like GoPuff. Walmart actually put in some micro-fulfillment centers in the past. Nordstrom has started to put in micro-fulfillment centers for beauty in particular. And essentially what this does is that it segregates areas often within a store, or it can be like a smaller warehouse that's close to an urban area, that it brings the merchandise closer to shoppers. It's faster to fulfill. It's easier to fill those orders, and you reduce some of your carrier costs in getting that merchandise to customers. So you can get some of the speed of a Prime Now, and you aren't dealing with some of the challenges of picking items from a shelf or for a live store that's actually active. What's interesting, I would argue, about a lot of big box stores right now that have been deemed non-essential and have been forced to close is that they've almost had dry runs for being dark stores because they're all essentially dark stores. They are closed to customers, but they're open for fulfillment. Another concept that is important to recognize from the changing and evolving need of physical stores and where the challenges with cash go is that we know that the restaurant industry is one of the sectors in retail that's probably been most adversely affected by the pandemic. A number of restaurants will likely close because of their cash situations, but what we also expect in the future is that the most talented chefs will likely morph into newer business models. And some of the most promising ones that are lower cost from a capital intensive standpoint, but also relatively strong from a customer experience and ability to deliver decent value are the idea of cloud and ghost kitchens. And what they essentially do is that they're online only solutions where you order products and items off of a menu and you have things either delivered or you can pick them up. A cloud kitchen has a number of different restaurants clustered in one venue to spread some of those costs, and it provides the added value of, if in the case of delivery, being able to cluster delivery solutions. So, because one of the biggest issues of inefficiency regarding things like grocery delivery or restaurant delivery is that it is often extremely inefficient because there's a lot of driving miles going from place to place. The second big point is around contagion fears. And where we see the world going there with respect to retail is lots of curbside, contactless pickup. We see cashierless being a bigger issue, and we see scheduled and remote servicing being an issue here. So let me walk through each of those. With respect to contactless curbside, I mentioned we're already seeing a lot of that around the world, not just in the United States. Almost every big box retailer that has been forced to close is integrating that in large part to help actually flow as much inventory as they can so they're not stuck with trapped inventory from February into the fall. But you also have the same concept existing around the world. Some of the most mature examples are companies like ChronoDrive, which is the example here in the upper right. It's a division of the French retailer Auchan, and what it essentially has been is exactly what you see, is it's this drive-through set of lanes. You order online, and it's all dark stores. So these are warehouses that consumers don't go shop in, but you order from them, and then you go drive there. They put the items in your trunk, and you go drive off. And what's amazing is that this is what contactless was, but this has been around for many, many years. We also expect some efficiency with some other omni-channel opportunities that are what I called clustered pickup and drop-off. So two examples of companies that I think have done this in a very fascinating way are Peach, which is a lunch delivery service in some urban areas like Boston and Seattle. And what they do is that they allow consumers to place orders for whatever is the daily menu that morning, and then they will deliver all of those packages often to that office building at some point in that lunch period. And so it works really, really well when there are a lot of people ordering all at once. And what it does is that rather than deal with some of the inefficiency of making multiple drop-offs, they can do one drop-off, and that ends up being a much more efficient process. We know that delivery density is a big deal for any business that has delivery. The example on the right is actually, unfortunately, now a bankrupt company that isn't around for a number of reasons that I won't get into, but Relay Foods always had this fascinating concept of basically putting your groceries in a truck, driving a truck to a destination, and giving people a window of opportunity to go and pick up those items from that truck. So they would go to, say, a church parking lot on a Sunday afternoon or an office parking lot on a Wednesday afternoon, whenever their drop-off time was. And again, this idea of clustering becomes so much more efficient than some of the inefficiency we have now with delivery that makes it incredibly expensive and difficult to scale. Touchless delivery also is an opportunity. Amazon has been experimenting with this for years. You'd probably heard about Amazon Key and some of the the ways that delivery personnel can enter a home and actually put items in the home or in a refrigerator. But some of the approaches that I think actually make more sense and are probably more palatable to a lot of customers are delivery into a garage. So there's integration with garage door openers, which I think more people probably feel comfortable with versus having somebody allowed into your home, or delivery straight into a trunk. The challenge, of course, is that has to be integrated into car manufacturing, and there are only a handful of models that have even thought about this. But the idea is an interesting one, and if there's a way to put some kind of a plug-in into a door latch that would enable that in the future, that's where some of literally the unlock would be. Just walk out technology and cashierless commerce is something that we've certainly heard a lot about in the last few years because of the Amazon Go model, but Alibaba, Ocado, and JD all have these kinds of robotics and just walk out technology in their own stores. They are still nascent, they require a lot of cameras, and they're not inexpensive. But when we talk about how can you be more cashierless, things like touchless commerce and self-checkout tools are likely to become much, much more commonplace in the future. This, I think, is an ideal state, which is very much a futuristic vision, but we have an evolution before we get to where that could possibly be. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about remote servicing, because in a world where people aren't going to want to necessarily talk to other people, there are still plenty of opportunities to leverage remote service, whether it is a kiosk in a physical store where you can be connected to a highly skilled store associate, or whether it's the ability to leverage some type of a web conferencing or FaceTime type tool that you can click through a button on an app to also get connected to a sales associate in real time, can be incredibly valuable and very, very helpful. We also talked a little bit about scheduled servicing, and this is important because this is a way for retailers to be able to manage some of the flow that they need to accommodate stores in order to make the most of whatever it is that they are doing. And that's what's incredibly important here, is to also recognize how Best Buy is one of the players that has really pioneered that. Next is also talking about new business models. And when we think about new business models, we're thinking about things like stores in stores and how can you make more from less without having to incur inventory costs. New opportunities through upskilling existing labor so that they can be redeployed to areas that may be in higher growth, like digital. And this, I thought, was just a really interesting example. Beta is a retailer that had physical stores, and they had to furlough a number of their employees through the course of the pandemic. But one of the things that the CEO offered is essentially free code classes for the employees. So a great way for them to, in the time that they are not employed, to actually become more skilled and hopefully in the long term more valuable to the company long term. And the last bit here is about the monetization of store traffic. One of the things that is important to keep in mind is that you have most of the money from stores is coming from inventory that is actually sold. But one of the assets, the great assets that stores have, is that they have a lot of traffic, a lot of store traffic and foot traffic. And some of the solutions that we see now are opportunities to actually drive revenue from that foot traffic. So the example on the left-hand side is a company called Cooler Screens, where what you see here is a freezer, but in all of that that's visible is actually advertising that brands pay for. So it becomes a screen that actually is an advertising surface. And there's a similar example with Glass Media, which goes beyond just drugstores or grocery stores or quick service restaurants, but it really is about other types of vehicles as well. And we're seeing these ad surfaces becoming significantly more popular throughout the world. This is just an example of a bunch of different screens that we've seen everywhere from in outdoor facilities to at checkout registers to in front of various displays. So just to summarize, what we know is that the future needs to accommodate these leaner store models because cash crunches are so pronounced. There's certainly the fear of infection transmission that is going to influence how stores are actually laid out, and we need to accommodate new revenue models as well. And what that means is that lower margins are going to drive any type of technology investment that is going to support things like inventory visibility. Then you also have contagion fears, which are going to drive things like, they're going to drive things like touchless, contactless ways to transfer items and to engage with guests. And last, we have new revenue models that will help to monetize retail chains in ways that are not just about simply selling goods. So this is my email address for anyone who does have any questions or if you'd like to see the presentation. And I will now pause. Hopefully everything was smooth with this presentation, and I will open it up to any questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sutrita. So we do have questions. So the first question is, can you speak to how packaging may change, adapt to support these leaner store models, if at all?
Yeah, there is no doubt that we will likely see some differences in packaging. I would actually argue the first place that we'll likely see packaging changes is with respect to e-commerce. This has been something that packaged goods companies have had to deal with every time there is a new type of retail, like historically, whether it was the club channel or the dollar channel, now the e-commerce channel. How they put items in boxes has to be cost effective to the means of delivery. So in the case of e-commerce, we know that shipping things involves dimensional weight requirements. So the larger the box, the heavier the box, the more it costs. And so the idea of compressing things as much as possible becomes incredibly important. So we certainly will see that. From a store standpoint, what is important to keep in mind is that we know that store sizes will likely get smaller in the future. And what that means is less shelf space, right? And so much packaging was very, it was very space hungry. It would often be big so that you could see more of it in any given shelf facing. But we expect that the requirement will be to make that smaller so that the retailers can fit more variety of merchandise into the smaller space that they have.
Got it. All right, so here's our second question from Wenbing. How do you think companies like Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash are working on or changing curbside or contactless pickups from the restaurants? And if it's sustainable due to the high fee structure these companies are taking from the merchants?
I think that there are a lot of questions as to the long-term viability and the profitability of the online delivery companies for exactly the reason that you cite, which is that their fee structures are so high. It can be, the take rate can be as much as 70% in the case of some restaurants. That's just obviously not sustainable for anyone. The restaurant margins are in the low single digits. So they really, really need to think about long-term viability. I think that what has happened is that the pandemic was just so sudden and it surprised so many people. Many of these companies did not have e-commerce websites. They didn't have any digital savvy themselves, so it was very, very easy for them to jump on board with an Uber Eats or a Grubhub that literally you didn't even need to do anything. They would bootleg your menu for you and start, kind of generating orders. The challenge is that once you start seeing the checks come in and you see what their take rate is, then restaurants start to do the math and recognize that, this is not the most profitable means of engaging. I either need to renegotiate the deal or sever the deal entirely and look to other alternatives and invest in my own digital channel. And I think that's ultimately the direction that you do see for some of the best retailers and for some of these best restaurants is that they have to invest in their own digital ordering platform, and then they have to figure out whether they're going to have their own delivery fleet or whether they work with a lower cost delivery solution or they just do curbside. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, and we as an investment firm totally agree. We've looked at a number of food delivery platforms, but ultimately the economics rarely ever made sense. And a lot of times, these companies can actually do a better, more profitable operation by running it themselves. Obviously not at the scale that maybe a DoorDash may be able to. So we have another question. Among these new innovative consumer engaging ways, when are we forecasting our life post-COVID, which will remain, and what will that like? I think what this individual is saying is, what will life be like? What are the consumer trends that you've talked about? What do you think will stick post-COVID?
So from a consumer trend standpoint, I think that's one of the big questions has been how much stays digital. And we know there's no question that we've been heading in a digital direction, an e-commerce direction for years. What this ends up doing is probably accelerating and helping us as an industry to maybe skip a year, possibly two, from a penetration rate. So anything that you've already been seeing trend-wise, which is, how much you consume medicine online or how much you are buying your groceries online. What you'll have is more of that happening sooner. In some cases, you will have a pretty drastic switch, like in the case of, say, a telemedicine. In the case of things like online grocery, I would project that, we will see maybe we had seen online, our projections for online grocery were 5% at the end of 2019. We'll probably see 6% penetration, within the next few months to possibly end with a 7% penetration by 2020. Originally, we had projected that probably 2021 would get us that number. So we're seeing just those figures brought up a little bit in time.
Gotcha. So another question is, do you see any collaboration with Uber and Lyft with retailers to lower delivery costs? I think you mentioned a little bit with the dark stores model.
Yeah, that's a great question for Uber and Lyft. I mean, Uber certainly has, certainly they've invested in the Eats model, and it seems like it would be a natural extension of Eats to also to start to pick up packages as well so that they could improve just the utilization of their drivers. We're already seeing companies like Postmates doing that, where they combine grocery transactions with restaurant transactions with some in-store pickup as well. Shipped already, because it's owned by Target, has some of these different types of categories, although they don't do restaurants. But the idea of this simply adding more venues with their products would make a lot of sense. And I frankly, I don't know why these companies haven't done it already. It's actually more logical and less logistically challenging to be a delivery solution, kind of a same day or small delivery radius delivery solution for an e-commerce retailer versus even a restaurant, because often you're waiting for that restaurant to cook the food, whereas for a lot of these omni-channel retailers, they have pretty good visibility into when the package has been picked and when they can fulfill that item. So that information becomes very helpful for a relatively efficient delivery. And a lot of those stores are also clustered together, and that actually may be more efficient actually than restaurant delivery, which is often one-to-one, where you have to go to a restaurant and then take it to somebody's house, whereas you can go pick up a bunch of transactions at a mall and, kind of go deliver it around to a local community, presumably more cost effectively. I mean, that's essentially what Deliv does, but they have their own drivers. It's a good question. I actually don't know why Uber and Lyft haven't done this already. It makes sense for them to do it.
Yeah, so we've seen Uber and Lyft more focus on the on top of the vehicle advertising or in-vehicle advertising and expanding on that user group. There have been a number of startups that have actually come into this space. Probably the most famous one is one called Dark Store, which one leverages the micro fulfillment centers that you mentioned earlier, Sutrita, but then they also plug into the Uber and Lyft APIs. So there have been some solutions, but I agree, we haven't seen a direct connection with Uber to any retailer. So we have two more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So this one comes from Yuji Doi. How do you think the change of the retail lead to affect the lifestyle of people? For example, more people are starting to live out of urban areas. If so, what kind of infrastructure should be followed to support the changes such as roads?
That's an interesting question. What happens? It's almost an urban planning question that's being raised, and I think that there's just so much that's unknown about what happens next. So there is a school of thought that says that the dense urbanism continues, and in that environment, you will see city planners being much more restrictive around what gets delivered where and when. The idea of just congestion and road wear and tear and just the inconvenience and the pollution that delivery vehicles may be contributing to absolutely will be regulated against in the future. And we're seeing things like the city of Seattle actually trying to force all delivery trucks to have licenses and even using an app to direct them where to park when they go to deliver their items. And that makes complete sense. And that will likely be an outcome is, just restrictions around the hours that they're allowed to come in, congestion fees, just perhaps even additional surcharges on deliveries in the future. So that's one world. The other scenario, which is equally as plausible, is the growth of tier 2 cities and the growth of the move away from urban environments for exactly the reasons that the pandemic has exposed, which is you don't want to be in an urban environment if we're going to have a bunch of pandemics in the future. And the farther away you get from a dense urban center, the safer you are. And oh, by the way, the cost of living is much better in these less dense areas. Not to mention that most of them have internet access, and if you can do your job remotely, you are better positioned, and essentially by moving out of a big city, you've given yourself a 20 to 30% raise. So that, I think, is also a thesis, and in that scenario, I think that you pretty much have a status quo, but you basically have almost just a normalization of kind of supply and demand with respect to what the value that an urban environment would provide versus the costs and challenges that it delivers as well.
Makes sense. So last question from the audience items, an emerge of two. So we have a number of fashion brands in the audience, and I think the biggest worry right now is all of that unsold inventory. As you know, fashion is obviously very seasonal. In addition to no one purchasing new clothing or new shoes or so forth. What do you think about the future of the fashion industry, specifically when you look at all the unsold inventory? How do they bounce back and become profitable organizations again?
Well, there's no question that fashion is one of the hardest hit, and there will likely be a huge shakeout. A number of them are owned by PE firms, and I don't think that anybody that's owned by a PE firm and in fashion is going to make it much longer than 2020. However, where there are opportunities in the future is with you'll see a lot of independent brands in the future. You will see new entrepreneurs developing new product content, new inventory, new ways, new models of selling. One of the prevailing ways that people have purchased in Asia has been video chat and live streaming. And that is something that, other than QVC and HSN, has not really become mainstream in the United States. But it makes a lot of sense. And in a world where we may see a shakeout in traditional apparel, does some of that get replaced with some of these other relatively low-cost means of selling merchandise, leveraging some of these celebrities or influencers that already have an audience and already have affinity with customers and buyers? So I think that what we expect to see as apparel will just change. It doesn't go away. It just gets consumed by different brands. It gets consumed by different sellers and different channels. Malls will either have to be redeveloped, or they will just have to find new tenants that can that serve whatever customer needs are in the next year or two.
Awesome. So that wraps up the Q&A. Thank you so much, Sucharita, for your time. This was an excellent presentation, and thank you for your insight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So now I'm going to kick it off to Tanya Ma, our Ventures Associate, who will be the MC of today's ceremony.
Thanks, Kevin. And hi, everyone. I'm Tanya. I'm from the Brand and Retail Ventures team, and I'll be the MC. So thanks again, Sucharita, for your presentation. It was super insightful. I'm going to quickly go over everyone's favorite activity of quarantine, which is the housekeeping items. So after each company's presentation, you'll have an opportunity to submit questions via the Q&A box, just as we've done for Sucharita. So please include the company name, and the startups will be online to answer any questions. So after the presentation, there will also be a poll. Please vote yes if you want to follow up with any of the companies presenting. So we have 15 amazing startups presenting today, ranging from robotics to live streaming, e-commerce tools, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the first startup. So companies are increasingly looking towards robotics and automation to help them navigate the current and the post-COVID world. Fabric is designing and building an entirely new automated logistics infrastructure in cities so that on-demand fulfillment and delivery can happen faster, cheaper, and at scale, essentially offering fulfillment as a service.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie. I'm with Fabric, formerly Common Sense Robotics, and what we do is micro-fulfillment. We support our retail and brand customers to deliver an on-demand delivery fulfillment proposition for their customers in an automated robotic solution. Let me show you how.
At Fabric, we make on-demand fulfillment profitable and scalable for every business. By taking a location-first approach to automation, our micro-fulfillment platform makes sure you're always close to your customers. This drives speed, cost reduction, and operational flexibility, whether you're fulfilling e-commerce orders or replenishing your stock. Within a micro-fulfillment center, items are stored in a 3D matrix of totes. Each site can support 3 temperature zones. Thousands of orders are fulfilled every day by hundreds of robots, managed by our proprietary software and AI. Once an order is placed, lift robots pull totes with the order items from our storage units. Lift robots then pass the totes to ground robots. Totes line up in the optimal order for packing to then be carried to the touch point. Once the order is complete, ground robots carry the order totes to the terminal to be dispatched for delivery. An order can be ready in as little as a few minutes, enabling you to offer 1-hour pickup or delivery to your customers. Our solution empowers you with total flexibility to fit your unique inventory level, desired reach, and OpEx and CapEx requirements. Get up and running with our flexible deployment options. Build your own private network of sites or leverage our service model. Fabric, micro-fulfillment that fits your business exactly.
So a little bit about our company. We were established in 2015. We are founded in Tel Aviv, which is where our research and development and engineering teams all sit. We also have a global world headquarters based here in New York City, which is where I sit, along with our executive teams and some other team members. We are very well capitalized with some great investors, Temasek, CPP, Corner, LF Innovation Endeavors, which is Eric Schmidt's fund, and Playground, which, and then lastly, we just announced Kraft Heinz, Evolve Ventures, which came in just a few months ago. So we have 15 sites under development, and a couple of live ones in essential businesses, coincidentally, grocery and pharma, where we have seen an increase in on-demand orders on average by 240% since the onset of COVID. And our solution has been able to handle that very, very dramatic surge. It's a very simple solution. It's robotic, full stack solution with 5 components. It is modular and flexible. Modular meaning it can grow with your business, so you don't have to buy everything on day one. And flexible meaning that it can also fit into all kinds of spaces, including an in-store location. In-store, quiet enough to be in front of your customers, back of store, dark store. You could do buy online, pick up in store, click and collect, as well as an on-demand fulfillment. We provide 2 types of products: platform, which is you own and operate, which is more of a CapEx model designed to your specs, volume, and needs, and what your future growth patterns are. And also micro-fulfillment as a service, which is the network that we offer. And our first site is launching in Brooklyn in August. I'm Anne Marie. You can reach us at getfabric.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. So we will have Anne-Marie on the line to answer any questions that you may have. So please type them into the Q&A box. And remember to vote. That should have popped up on your screen now. So if you'd like an introduction, please click yes. Sucharita actually mentioned the topic of micro-fulfillment earlier in the keynote. So this was a really fitting way to start the day. So up next, we have Yaniv from DID. So the facial recognition market is growing exponentially and has made our faces essentially our identifiers. And that's led to privacy concerns and, of course, the establishment of new laws. So DID's identity protection acts as an anti-facial recognition solution to make photos of people's faces unrecognizable.
Hello, my name is Yaniv Levy and I'm running products for DID. Today, I'm going to talk to you about our video anonymization technology. But before I do that, let me show you a short video. So on the left-hand side, you can see a video footage that we've downloaded from the internet. On the right-hand side, you see the anonymized version. An anonymized version means that we took the original video and detected all the faces and replaced them with computer-generated photorealistic faces. So basically, we removed the original identity. On the other end, we preserve all the key attributes of the original person, including age, gender, gaze direction, emotions, etc. And this way, we allow basically to use the videos for various purposes. Why does it need it? Per GDPR, it is not allowed to record or analyze any personal data of any person. Our faces are considered as personal sensitive information, and as such cannot be stored for a long time, cannot be analyzed, and cannot be used for any purpose. However, if the information is being anonymized per GDPR, then it will not apply, and you can use the video footage for any purpose you would like. What's in it for retail? So imagine that at any given moment, at any retail store, you can do real-time customer segmentation. So any retail store has a very big CCTV deployment, and all the videos are basically streamed to a central location. At any given moment, you can know whether there are many kids, women, men, etc. in the store, and based on that, you can do real-time sales. So let's assume there are many kids. You can decide on a real-time ad hoc sale in the kids department. Second thing, imagine this case. A customer goes to one of the shelves, takes a product and look at it. Then he looks at the price and he's surprised. See, wow, this looks expensive, and he brings it back. And then you can analyze it after that and imagine that based on that, you can, you know that the customer did not take the product because of the high price. Last thing, but definitely not least, is data monetization. So you have a lot of data because you record all the video. The video is being anonymized, so you can store it for as long as you want. And you can sell this data, for example, let's say for the vendors. So if there is like the Coca-Cola shelf, you can sell the video taken in the Coca-Cola area to Coca-Cola so they can analyze their customers' behavior. So in addition to take analytics to your own personal favor and to your store, you can also sell the data to one of the vendors, to any third party, basically. A little bit about DID. So the company was incorporated 3 years ago in January 2017. We are Y Combinator and EISP 8200 alumni. To date, we raised almost $10 million in the seed phase, and we are now in the finalization stages of round A funding. We got the European Union grant 2020, and we also got the Israel's Innovation Authority grant. That's it. So for any questions, you're welcome to contact me. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Yaniv. The anonymized Chris Hemsworth still definitely look like Chris Hemsworth, which is really interesting to see. So up next, we have Hero from Viral Space. Question out there, have you ever posted a photo which you thought was really great, and you posted it, you only get 2 likes, and you really wonder why? So Viral Space predicts the performance of visual assets and aims to increase engagement rates and eliminate the guesswork that marketing teams apply to visual marketing.
Hi, we are Viral Space, and we use AI to help marketers make data-driven decisions about their ad creative. The number one factor that drives the performance on digital advertising is the creative. As much as 56% of a brand's sales lift from digital advertising can be attributed to high quality creative. So it's really important to build creative thoughtfully. However, when it comes to creating that visual content, there is a lot of guesswork. Say that you're running an ad for one of our clients, Chubbies, and you've got an ad that's performing poorly. You might wonder, am I showing the right features of the product? Maybe I should change the background, video pacing, or copy. Or let's just do 100 A/B test with $1 million. With Viral Space, you don't have to ask any of those questions. Instead, you can know that you should make your text overlay appear at the beginning of the video ad, shift to indoor imagery, and increase the video pacing to lift performance right away. That's how we take marketers from guesswork to data-driven creative decisions. Now, it's important to note that these are not broad-based recommendations. For every client, we build a totally custom model based on your brand's data. We carefully stick to your brand voice and tailor our recommendations to your unique audiences. We use state-of-the-art computer vision technology, and our team has research backgrounds from Stanford and NVIDIA. So we go beyond the basic object detection models with custom features. Here's a deeper look into our product. We have features that touch every part of the creative process. For your in-flight ads, we provide live recommendations to lift your KPIs on the go. We help you understand exactly why your ads are performing the way they do. We help you provide recommendations to improve them and can even do some of the optimizations for you. We can also help you understand features to include based on your past ads and predict the performance of content before it's posted and even tell you what to fix before they launch. Since the start of Plug and Play, we've made a lot of progress. We've launched a new recommendation model and rolled out a suite of COVID-19 response materials. Today, we're announcing the launch of our marketing trends dashboard after analyzing close to 300,000 active ads and posts on Facebook and Instagram. Go to viralspace.ai/COVID to track the performance of COVID-related posts and get inspired by top ad creatives in various industries. Here's a case study of what you can do with the dashboard and our technology. One of our clients swiftly transformed their evergreen ads to adapt to the COVID-19 crisis and are seeing the return on ad spend improve dramatically. For example, this ad shifted from outdoor to indoor imagery, removed mention of vacations, added mention of urgency, and included other creative features like patterns and colors. You can see a 3x lift in return on ad spend with these changes. So our clients love what we're doing, and they're some of the most data-driven companies in the world. Agencies like Ogilvy and venture-backed brands like Chubbies and Minted are some of our clients, with many more in the pipeline as we work very selectively with brands. A bit on the team behind this. I am the CEO. I spent my career before business school in the trenches of brand social media. Apurva, our CTO, researched under Stanford's Vision Lab, and Michelle, our COO, did product design work at IDEO. Our advisors and angels lend us decades of experience from companies like Facebook, YouTube, Nike, and other Fortune 500 companies. We closed a $1.7 million round of funding 3 months ago from investors like Plug and Play, Quest Venture Partners, and Lightspeed. So we are here to stay. Today, we're also opening up a small allocation for strategic investment from the right partners. So if that sounds like you, or you'd like to see a demo of our product to discuss a pilot, feel free to reach out at hello@viralspace.ai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hero. So our startups are doing a really great job responding quickly to the pandemic. So yes, as Hero mentioned in his clip, check out the resources. It was viralspace.com/COVID from what I remember. But yeah, it's great that they're responding really quickly and really adding value to the ecosystem. So up next now we have Langston from Strive VR. So 70% of learning on the job occurs informally. Now that we're all stuck at home, we can't really do that anymore. But what if we could provide informal training formally? So born out of the Stanford's virtual human interaction lab, Strive VR immersive learning solution helps train staff using their real life immersive simulations. So essentially VR training.
Hi, everyone. I'm Langston Johnson from the business development team at Striver, and thank you for taking the time today under less than optimal circumstances, to say the least. I hope everyone has had a chance to watch some of the webinars Plug and Play have been hosting, and I recognize some people might have some background knowledge on virtual reality training, but for the sake of this presentation, I'm just going to pretend that everyone is starting from scratch. So one of the classic technologies to help a person get better at a job, and probably the most impactful, cost-effective training technologies ever created, is this, the flight simulator. New aspiring trainees or seasoned pilots practice flying planes, takeoffs, landings, in-flight emergencies without the risk of killing anyone or crashing a multi-million-dollar asset from the safety of a simulator. So with these virtual reality headsets, which are like a flight simulator for enter your XYZ retail job, operations, safety, learning and development, and HR leaders can help improve the performance of their teams by transporting them into the actual situation they'll be working in. At Striver, we call this immersive learning, and define it as a groundbreaking training methodology that combines the sense of presence of virtual reality with advanced learning theory, data science, and spatial design. Traditionally, leaders have had to significantly weigh the cost of preparing employees from a monetary, safety, and physical resources standpoint, and they had to decide if they would go for a more scalable approach or a more effective approach. If they decided on scale, they'd use online videos, or if they wanted to have a little more interactivity, they teach employees in the classroom. But now, with immersive learning, that trade-off is virtually eliminated because operations leaders get the same effectiveness as one-to-one training with the scalability of online e-learning videos. Now, to implement immersive VR training at an organization, there are 7 steps. The first is strategy, And being an end-to-end solution platform, we spend a lot of time in the strategy phase finding the right business challenge that can be addressed with virtual reality training. And those challenges usually deal with ride situations that are rare, impossible, dangerous, or expensive to train people on. So a quick example is active shooter training. Obviously, we hope this never happens, but you sure want your people to be prepared and know how to handle themselves to stay safe. Watching a video or having a manager and a couple staff members simulate that situation won't cut it. And the T&E of sending people to an off-site simulation would be incredibly high. When a training employee puts on a headset, they will feel like they're actually in the situation and can go through that emotional experience over and over again with that same level of realism they'd experience in real time. Then step 2, our instructional designers use the latest learning theory to design the right curriculum to translate your business's knowledge into a VR experience. Steps 3 and 4, we produce the content, which is like making a mini movie. And then step 5, we work with your infrastructure to make sure the physical setup of training works and is able to be executed. And finally, steps 6 and 7, we deploy the training and collect usage data like head tracking movement and how they perform the task. So that is Striver and immersive learning. Normally I'd have a headset to have you experience our platform firsthand, but obviously can't do that. So email me and we can continue the conversation on the impact immersive learning can have on your organization. Thank you and continue to stay safe.
Thank you, Langston. If anyone's ever tried Striver's solution, the content is really fun, it's really realistic, and definitely is a great solution. So this is just a quick reminder to please submit questions to our startups. They're all on the line, ready to answer anything that you want to know. And up next, we are going to move on to Wisey. So we have Min from Wisey presenting today. Wisey is a software platform for real-time online and offline data collection at any location, and essentially helps you make decisions faster and within your grocery stores.
Hi, I am Min Chen, CEO of Wisey. As the scope of the COVID-19 pandemic continues to unfold, I want to share how at Wisey we have been helping our brands and retail customers thrive while also preparing for the future. So let's get started. Getting groceries and essential items has become a growing concern for people all over the world. As consumers, we had to change the way we shop, whether by adjusting to social distancing at stores or converting to online ordering. Keeping up with these new expectations and higher demands is a challenge for retailers and manufacturers. Most of them, however, are not ready to provide online to offline shopping experiences. Few businesses are tech-enabled for low-contact services, including self-checkout, real-time on-shelf availability data, remote work, or e-commerce. Changes in consumer demand vary across countries and product categories. Retailers are facing spikes of up to 800% in medicines and 50% in food items, while some convenience stores have closed due to declines in sales and lockdown measures. Online players experience a 700% increase in countries where e-commerce is available, but they struggle to fulfill orders. While some shopping behavior won't last after the pandemic, seamless online to offline experiences are here to stay. So how can Wisey help? Whether your customers order by phone or they make in-store purchases, Wisey frontline coordination and automation technology drives efficient operations to handle sales volumes and provide a smooth customer service. In response to the new demand, retailers and manufacturers across the globe have enabled order by phone, by WhatsApp, or e-commerce websites. In addition, they also had to recruit frontline workers to take and fulfill orders. Wisey allows managers to automate task assignments as orders are received and monitor progress remotely. Frontline workers are notified when tasks have been assigned to them. They proceed to fulfill the order by shopping for the items and communicating directly with the customer when a product is not available to ensure a suitable replacement. Once the order is complete, they take a picture of the receipt and hand it over to the next frontline worker for curbside pickup or delivery. Other tasks can be assigned remotely. Sales reps or merchandisers are asked to replenish shelves and take pictures to verify compliance. With our image intelligence technology, YC automates store audits. Product facings and prices are processed within seconds to provide real-time KPIs, helping managers make wiser decisions at any store. YC helps transform your business model to maximize margins, onboard and coordinate workers in a high turnover context, and gain local visibility at any location while providing a seamless online to offline shopping experience. Our technology can be used as a standalone system or integrated with other solutions. We are already an SAP partner and have received multiple accolades. We look forward to working closely with you to address your company's unique needs. With our extensive industry experience and innovative technology, we will transform your business for the present and the future. Contact me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Min. As mentioned, Min is also on the line right now to answer any questions. So up next, we have Gawa from Swift Store. So the pandemic has propelled the need for self-service, new store formats, and automation more than ever. Swift works with many brands, retailers, and vending operators and enterprises to deploy highly scalable automated retail stores.
Hello, I'm Gower Smith, CEO of Swift. At Swift, we're a global technology leader in unattended retail, and we partner with some of the world's leading brands and retailers. And I'd like to share a presentation here of our capabilities. So since COVID-19, clearly people would like to deal with a robot rather than a person, and they want immediate gratification, they want convenience, and brands still want control. And what we do is we bring to life your store, your brand, with your top selling products, and we place these automated stores in venues that are not well served by your traditional retail stores or your online channels. And this entire network of unattended stores is completely controlled by an unattended automation platform. The traditional experience for consumers to see the store, walk up, select, pay, and get. And now today, with a mobile app and the security of a consumer's mobile phone, they can identify your nearby store. And using our SDK and embedded in your online sites or mobile app, she can identify a nearby store, the product she wants, select it, pay for it, get a QR code, and the product's going to be waiting when she gets there. And the robot will quickly fetch it, and she gets it delivered immediately. Now, these secure robotic stores or vending machines, we patented the idea that these could be micro warehouses for online delivery. And so a courier could pick up instead of the consumer. And here we have a gentleman who's in a meeting. He can't get to the store. And so he purchases the item. He gets immediate gratification once he confirms payment and knows that there's a courier nearby. And this could be an Uber driver, a Postmates courier, a cycle courier that gets the order through the API, picks up the order, and in minutes delivers it to the consumer. And the delivery fee could be passed on or absorbed by the brand. We also have our grab-and-go cabinets, and these are like Amazon Go in a box. So here she walks up and authenticates using an SDK or mobile app or a credit card, like authenticating at a gas pump. What she takes is loaded into the shopping cart. And we use sensor delivery, multiple types of sensors, depending on the product. When she closes the door, in her account, in the email, she's going to get real-time transaction and receipt for what she took. Our business model is all about generating incremental revenue and incremental profit. And we can package all the hardware, software, and services into a small monthly fee that's a small percentage of the revenue that we generate. We can deliver you all the end-to-end services so that you can just sell into this channel, or you can engage with us as a technology provider using our software platform and our hardware systems. We use data to optimize merchandising, optimize the supply chain, the location management, personalizing transactions, keeping the network up and running. We give you dashboards so you can see the performance of your stores, groups of stores, what products are selling, deep dive on analytics such as conversion rates and operational performance. Satellite automated retail is clearly a proven channel. Through automation, it's extremely efficient. We can apply it to food service automation. We can apply it to in-store automation, solving lots of problems on the fourth wall of your store or inside the store, automating manual tasks. We have world-class location partners. We have a world-class executive team. We would love to talk to you about unattended retail. So please be in contact. It's gawa.smith@swiftstore.com. My assistant Sakura is at SAKURAS@swiftstore.com. And we'd love to hear from you and schedule a follow-up video conference. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Gawa. As long as the handles are sanitized and we can grab paper to open the handles, I think it'd be a very, very great solution to have around. So thanks so much. We have now we've got about 5 minutes now for a quick break. You can either vibe to the music and stay around, or quickly go and grab, whatever snacks, dogs, cats you need. So yeah, stay around. We'll be back at 1:25. welcome back, everybody. I hope we're all properly caffeinated and ready to go. So we will continue with our startups and the presentations. Up next, we have Amanda from the call list. So, consumers more than ever are now yearning to connect with each other. I know I am. I know that everything that I'm doing, whether it be cooking or eating, I've always got somebody on the side who I'm video calling with. So the call list allows your brand to video call your entire brand community and share products and demos in real time.
I'd like to thank everyone who's joining us this morning or might tune into this conversation later. We're of course happy to continue this discussion offline, and we're hopeful that this talk helps spark some creativity around meaningful interactions with your brand communities in these virtual only times. I'm Amanda Patterson, co-founder and CEO of The Call List. Brands are trying to cut through the Instagram live noise, and they want to give their communities access to talk directly with brand experts and influencers, to empower their audiences, to impact the evolution of their product lines and their brand's mission, all while making sales and gaining unparalleled insights. And that's what's possible with The Call List. Interactive video for e-commerce. So how does it work? Well, with our plugin on your brand's website, you can video call your entire audience at once and convert them to customers in real time by sharing products to be added to your cart while you talk to them. This audience knows that video is a necessity, and flat video is now basically ineffective. But with interactive video, you can expect as much as 10x conversion rate. This is the power of a personal interaction with a limitless audience size. So imagine getting a video call from your favorite influencer, designer, or expert, or an interactive beauty tutorial with a celebrity makeup artist, and you can shop the products as they answer your questions about technique. And this is exactly how Nicole and I launched with global brand partner MAC. This video shows the magic of joining a call and being face-to-face with an influencer. You're watching artistic director Gregory Alt calling thousands of fans and other pro artists. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. The hand turns to a green mic to tell the fan that they're on for the entire audience to hear their questions and comments. We also show a sample of the audience streamed back to the host screen, Brady Bunch style. This gives the host a live studio audience. Gregory thought this was super fun, that the collective energy of his fans kind of sort of pumped him up, and he thought it was funny to see the fans holding the phones under their desks at work and eating lunch or applying makeup along with the host. It's super cool to see and hear them ask questions, and it's very intimate and personal in a way. But before we move on to the interactive features, I want to call out a few things about this MAC use case, which rings true across most of our brand partners. Mac Pro targeted 14-to-1 return on investment for call list programming. And that's because 78% of the people who RSVP'd joined events from 39 states. And in the age of fleeting attention spans, they stayed on for the entire 45-minute tutorials. After these events, participants not only say they want more, but they provide suggestions for future topics. They want to be involved. So let's take a closer look at the interactive features. We talked about the opportunity for fans to raise their hands and for the host to choose to unmute them. This makes for really rich media content, really collaborative with your audience, especially if you plan to later publish the archive video of these events on your social or digital platforms. The host can also push out survey questions during the call to get their community's votes. So hosts see this feedback come back to them in real time and can change the course of the conversation to suit their audience's preferences. This survey question in particular could work for a spirits brand or a meditation app. And hosts can also feature products to add to your consumers' carts in real time while you chat. So think shoppable FaceTime from your e-commerce site. With our Shopify integration, we can get direct-to-consumer brands like our partner Bellbar Organic up and running in just minutes. People want to connect. And the call list powers these experiences for a limitless audience size. The brand decides how many people they want to connect and when.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I know that I'm still waiting for my call from Justin Bieber and many other brands that I follow. So I think it's a great solution. Okay, up next we have Freddie from Automation Hero. So according to a McKinsey report, 45% of current paid activities can actually be automated by today's technology. And that's an equivalent of 2 trillion in total annual wages. So Automation Hero has created an intelligent automation platform to automate tasks.
Hello there. My name is Freddie and I'm Head of Strategic Partnerships at Automation Hero. Thank you so much for inviting us here today to present at the Spring Summit as part of the Brand and Retail Batch. Automation Hero is a backend and AI-based intelligent process automation platform for the enterprise. Now, you might be familiar with the term RPA, or Robotic Process Automation. That technology is about 15 years old, and it is really used to automate simple tasks as part of a larger process by mimicking a user's behavior on the front end of a desktop. Now, so it can be really easily compared with a welding robot, what you see on the left. It's a very static structure and does one specific task a lot of times with a high accuracy and a high reliability. However, as soon as an external variable is changing, that robot doesn't know what to do anymore, and the automation is breaking apart. On the other hand, you have technologies of IPA, or Intelligent Process Automation, where we add cognitive abilities to really enable AI-based decision making. At Automation Hero, we see 3 different use case categories. Number 1 is eliminating repetitive tasks. Here we can automate in an end-to-end format purchase order fulfillment processes, as well as invoice processing or simple data entry across customer management systems, ERPs, or product lifecycle management systems. What is really important is our ability to include our own natively embedded AI systems, and for example, in this case, AI-based OCR or ICR, where we're really able to extract structured information from any sort of unstructured data source, including email, large bodies of text, PDF documents, or even handwriting. The second use case that we see very often with our clients is automating common customer requests. Here we are very popular in a customer service center that, for example, is receiving a lot of emails. We can detect the intent of these emails and can, based on that intent, route them to a specific service agent, and then yet again use another AI model, in this case a dark data extraction model, to extract specific data and then base the next step on the data that we just extracted. Now, for this example, we work with one of the largest global logistics companies that is using Automation Hero to automate their customer quote request process in an end-to-end fashion. The third use case categories is really augmenting knowledge worker decision making, where a big point here, especially for retailers, is obviously demand optimization. And historically, there's already a lot of demand AI models in place, but usually different attributes have been always factored in, right? Such as inventory levels, such as historical purchasing trends, or even current and ongoing discounts. However, in times of crisis, such as Corona right now, these models are not good enough anymore, and they need to be way more dynamic by really constantly being able to pull data from various data systems at all times to be able to really ingest the most accurate information, which now enables us, in case of the demand optimization example, to also include data attributes around the spread of the virus, the outside temperature that would obviously also improve or reduce the spread of the virus, or even look at the more recent purchase history at local stores or even at a countrywide level. Other use cases in that regard are workforce planning or warehouse optimization, as well as dynamic pricing, where we use reinforcement models to really optimize themselves to always find the best possible price for everyone involved. Now let's look at the technology. Automation Hero is really built around our fast data processing engine. That's really the core of it, while we focus on 4 pillars. Number 1 being data. We come with 60 plus pre-built connectors to the most standard and most common database sources, including all structured as well as unstructured data sources. Now the second pillar is really systems, where we integrate with all sorts of ERP systems, with CRM systems such as Salesforce, as well as Workday or ServiceNow. Pillar number 3 is processes, where we integrate with business process management tools or existing RPA vendors that a customer is already using. And pillar number 4, very important for us, is people, where we have built a virtual assistant that is looping the human back into the end-to-end automation experience. Now I hope you have a much better understanding of what our company is doing. This is Automation Hero. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the event and for receiving more of your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Freddie. I don't think I've ever said the word automate or automation so many times in one sentence before. So Freddie will be on the line to answer any questions you may have. So please send as many as you possibly can and make use of that. All right, so up next now we have the Peak Beyond. Bill will be presenting. And so the Peak Beyond provides interactive smart displays that engage and educate the consumers.
The Peak Beyond, and we create smart stores and interactive experiences at the point of sale that collect consumer behavior data for both brands and retailers. So we use technology to capture new types of information that help businesses make better choices and customers spend more money. Retailers are taking massive hits to online shopping, and the consumer brand connection is being lost in store. Consumers would rather take the time at home to learn before purchasing, and the brick and mortar retail industry is lacking a very important piece of information, and that is how customers shop in store. So we drive sales and help retailers and brands better connect their values with their consumers. And we connect the brand's values directly to the shopper at the point of sale with experiences that are interactive and leave the consumer with something to remember. We give the consumer all of the product information direct from the brands. And lastly, we collect data on how the customers shop, what information is valuable to them, and what drives their purchases. So here it is, the Peak Beyond Smart Store. We have a 40% higher basket size over industry average, and all of the products are available at the customer's fingertips. They pick up the product, they place it down on the display to learn more. We've also seen 20% reduction in staffing costs, and we track over 10,000 consumer interactions per day. We've also developed our lift and learn technology, where our customers simply lift the product off the shelf to gain more information. This is just one example of how we're continuing to innovate on new ways to engage and interact with consumers. Through all of these smart stores, we've been collecting lots of data on how customers shop, so we can see how many products are picked up, what information is viewed, and ultimately what's driving the purchase. And through all this data, we've noticed that customers who touch products are 60% more likely to purchase them. So we created a branded version of the experience that ignites when customers pick up products. We have branded environments, and we also have interactive point of purchase and merchandising displays in any size that can be scaled to thousands of locations at a time. So these user interfaces contain all of the brand's media assets, photos, videos, and copy that would otherwise never reach the consumer while they shop in the store. And here's our latest creation. It's a mobile sales unit used by field reps during demo days. This sleek display pops open to be a fully featured digital brand representative and collects data on customer touches, interactions, and interests. And we're in the process of building 20 of these that will go into the hands of their reps and then permanently installed in retail locations. Our technology is industry agnostic, and our UI is moldable to fit any type of brand or product. Here is a Lift and Learn Spirits display being installed in the Miami airport. The user picks up a bottle and swipes to learn more. And here is our foot action display, which has been greenlit in 25 stores. And it's the same concept. Customers would pick up a shoe, they'd place it down on the launch pad to learn more. And we are the team putting all of this together. And with our breadth of experience, we hope that we can create a lasting relationship with you all. Just want to say that we have totally enjoyed our experience with Plug and Play. We've met very valuable people, have created great relationships, and we continue to want to connect. So we are here. Please reach out and we can create something for you as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill, for the feedback. I'd also love to understand, how your business has changed as a result of the pandemic and what the strategy will be going forward. I think a similar question was just asked, so I think a couple of us would be curious about that. But thanks so much, and stay on the line. So up next now, we have Sneh from Lucky. Lucky provides a location-based marketing API that allows brands to engage with and gather consumer insights.
Hi, my name is Sneh Pamar, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Lucky. And we're on a mission to create the best consumer experience for purchasing products in this new omni-channel world. We now live in a world where brands, retailers, and consumers have so many different options to both engage with each other, buy products from each other, and also interact and learn from one another. There's hundreds of different channels to buy products and dozens of different touch points through which brands and retailers engage with consumers. And a big issue in that is personalizing the content through all these different channels. It's been done the same for the past few decades. In fact, 4 out of 10 consumers are lost to a brand because of poor personalization, which includes content that is irrelevant to consumer being marketed to them, even giving them an ill-timed reward when they have no intent of buying. The previous personalization methods were done using gathering data from cookies across browsers to track consumer behavior, but now browsers are phasing that out. So it's even more important for brands to understand directly from a consumer and gather their first-party data to see what they're interested in. On average, brands sell products through 8 different channels. This results in different complexities and trying to understand how a consumer feels when they engage with different touch points. So we built a universal solution for a cohesive experience across all these touch points. Our process is simple. We gathered the insights from a consumer in the moment to really learn what they're interested in by creating an engaging experience. We then personalize the reward and offers that they get right then in the moment to incentivize them to take action. And then afterwards, now you can retarget those users with content that's actually relevant to them. With our experience, you can drive purchases both in store and online based on the location of the consumer. We can set location-specific rewards, so different parts of a city or even different cities in the US or the world can have different rewards and offers based on the consumer. And we offer instant buy online, pickup in store functionality through our experience because we want the consumer to be able to go through our experience and easily purchase that product right then and there and pick it up in the store next door. This is how our solution works. The consumer goes to the mobile site, they're able to engage with our experience, they get a reward or offer right then and there based on their response, and it helps them navigate to the closest store, or they can save to use later. You can engage with consumers as they move. You're able to gather this first-party data, which is super important in building out these different audience profiles. And then afterwards, you can optimize your retargeting by truly understanding what a consumer is interested in and segmenting those users and sending each batch of consumers specific content. This is how the backend dashboard works. A brand goes in, creates a campaign, selects the date, the demographic that they're targeting. Then they go and build out an insight question that they want to collect data from with different rewards for each option. They can go in and geofence an area, in this case, San Francisco, and then they can see all the data in real time about how consumers are interacting with these brands. So far, we've seen about a 40% lift in consumer engagement across our mobile touchpoints, about a $50 increase in in-store versus online purchases by driving people to physical retail, and about 100% of all the data is consumer-centric because it's your consumers giving you their feedback on what they're interested in the moment. We've seen massive growth over the past few months with onboarding brands all the way from retail brands to omni-channel brands to even D2C e-com brands. We have 75 more brands in our pipeline and we're onboarding more every single week. We formed strategic partnerships with different organizations to provide us expertise in building out our platform and getting our infrastructure implemented. We partnered with one of the top 3 retail trade associations to give us access to the top 2 retailers in every industry vertical. We're partnering with key players in the industry as our go-to-market strategy, which include agencies, content and trade associations, and even e-commerce plugins to simplify our approach and integrations to make it a truly plug-and-play solution. With our research, we've seen about 84% of consumers want a seamless online and offline experience. 3/4 of people already use a mobile device while shopping physically, and 90% of people have location data turned on through their mobile phone. Our business model is simple. We charge a monthly SaaS fee based on the number of monthly engagements that occur, and all of these plans include certain functionalities, especially our enterprise custom plan. Consumers want this one-to-one relationship, and with our experience, you can finally give that to them. Start your free pilot today, and we'd love to learn more and see how we can help. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nev, for the presentation. We're lucky to have you here today. Stay on the line and please feel free to answer any of the questions. Up next, we have Lei from Endear. So with all the retail stores being closed, imagine if you could incentivize your store associates to make sales by driving consumers to the e-commerce store all while they're working from home. So Endear actually allows companies to do just that. Endear empowers store associates to drive sales through personalized customer outreach over email and text.
Hi, I'm Lee Seven, co-founder of Endear. Endear is a sales platform that helps store associates sell from anywhere through any channel. With the rise of e-commerce came a surge in digital marketing solutions, everything from managing SEO to email marketing, to social media marketing, and even influencer marketing. Meanwhile, sales teams in the retail industry have been confined to the in-store experience, with the only influence being in face-to-face interaction. And then Corona happened. Coronavirus has pushed brands to figure out how to extend their sales team online, making sure that they're repurposing this powerful and knowledgeable labor force in order to continue to drive sales online. If we think about the distinction between marketing and sales, marketing is meant to be broad, one-way messaging that keeps your entire audience informed about the latest and greatest news about your brand. Sales, on the other hand, is meant to be a two-way conversation that actually puts power in the customer's hands to learn more about what they need to know in order to make the right purchase decision. And that's exactly what store associates do with Endear. They can first figure out exactly who to target with Endear's omnichannel CRM. They can then reach out to this high potential group of customers over email or text and give those customers a way to respond directly to them and ask whatever they need to know in order to move them along the pipeline. And the beauty of Endear is it's not just about outreach. In fact, the reason why our customers love us so much is that it's the first time they're able to see how their store associates impact sales both in person and online. In fact, they can even compare them to their peers. But this is not about one associate versus another. It's really about how sales compares to marketing. The truth is that sales overall, both in terms of response rate and conversion rate, performs better. In fact, messages sent through Endear have a 54% response rate. That's more than 3 times better than what email marketing gets. And it's even more pronounced with conversion rate. Messages sent through Endear have a 5% conversion rate, nearly 100 times better than what email marketing gets. Here are some key examples of the brands who have stuck with us through Corona in order to migrate their in-store team online, and thus have seen tremendous results, some of us even coming to us just to do just that. Let's take an example. Rebag has been with us for over 9 months, thanks to our super easy to use platform and true transparency around what's going on at the store and online. But when Corona hit, they doubled down. And in fact, they've seen even better performance in April than they did in March, with increasing outreach by 30%, sales increasing 36%, and seeing a 1% increase in their conversion rates. Especially now, our goal is to make our customers' lives as easy as possible. And it starts with the integration. Most of our users are able to install Endear with just one click, but we also help them through this process, taking any development effort that we can off their hands. And then they're really turning to us to cover all their bases, meaning that Endear is not a solution for just your store or just your e-commerce site. It's meant to span both channels so you can understand how your sales team is impacting everything. Lastly, we have pricing that scales. We offer transparent, easy to understand pricing, whether you're one store or 50, or even beyond that, where it becomes slightly more customized to your needs. My co-founder Janesh and I met through the Venture for America Fellowship and have been working together for 4 years, including participating in the XRC Labs Retail Accelerator here in New York. And while our focus has always been on user experience and product, we have surrounded ourselves with some of the most knowledgeable people in retail in order to better understand how the industry works, especially through a crisis. I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much, Lee. A quick reminder to the audience to include the company name that you're directing your questions to as well. So just so we can keep track and we know who they're for. Awesome. So moving on now, we have Kate from Well Principled. So 79% of companies with high-performing supply chains actually achieve revenue growth faster or greater than their average within their industries. So Well Principled is an AI management consultant that optimizes marketing and supply chain processes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kate DeWolf with Well Principled, and I'm thrilled to share how we're transforming disparate data into optimized strategies worth tens of millions for your peers. Well Principled helps major CPG brands and retailers optimize their marketing and supply chain strategies. Your peers across grocery, specialty retail, and even fashion and apparel use our platform to remove the complex barriers to value and optimize strategies across marketing and supply chain. Now, I've had the pleasure of meeting with several of you, and given your renewed interest in supply chain efficiencies, I've selected an assortment case study to guide our time together. When I led strategy and innovation for a Fortune 500, we were challenged to become data-driven in an attempt to expose optimization opportunities. But folks, this was not easy, right? That's a complex task because data wasn't readily available. There were often cross-functional gaps, and implementation was always a long and painful process. Similar pain surfaced when a large retailer brought Well Principled in to optimize in-store assortment with the goal of reducing cost while maintaining sales. The data needed to properly solve for assortment was scattered across marketing, supply chain, finance, and lived in spreadsheets, their ERP systems, their CDP systems. You get the idea. There was little cross-functional coordination, which explains why they weren't solving for the right problem to begin with. So whether you're optimizing retail assortment or personalized marketing, you're undoubtedly faced with these complex barriers to value. At Well Principled, we remove those barriers with software. Going back to our retail assortment example, Well Principled integrated and curated their disparate customer loyalty data, cost constraint data, and more into our platform with automation, and we continue to manage that data today. Our platform learned the drivers of their business outcomes to ensure they were solving for the right problem. And our platform closed the loop on execution with in-app approval cascades and integrations with their supplier networks, planogram software, etc. So what's our secret? Our analytically rigorous AI platform is infused with deep expertise from the academic business literature, accelerating your time to value with models of each individual customer, product, and location. We deploy field engineers who close last mile delivery gaps to ensure you capture that value by embedding optimized decision strategies into your daily operations. Now, in our retail assortment example, this particular retailer had a difficult time solving for assortment due to lacking attribute data. However, because our AI is infused with deep business expertise, we were able to identify what each product was, similar products, complements, and substitutes. This enabled us to deliver our retail partner with what they should sell and where, to whom and when, based on SKU level substitutability, individual customer preferences, and store level forecasts. Folks, I'll leave you with this. One of our clients, one of the largest international beverage companies, they use our full suite of applications to optimize their marketing and supply chain strategies. And we're on track to deliver them $50 million of optimizations in the next 3 to 5 years. So again, whether you're solving for retail assortment, demand forecasting, pricing, or personalized marketing, we want to work with you to remove your barriers and accelerate your time to value. Again, I'm Kate DeWolf. You can contact me at kate@wellprincipled.com. And if we aren't already working together, I look forward to meeting with you soon. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you, Kate. That was a great presentation. And feel free to vote as well. Remember to vote for each of the polls if you want to be connected with these awesome companies. So up next, we have Alok from Copper. So we're seeing an uptick in companies actually looking for technologies that can help manage, for example, traffic within stores or monitor body temperatures in preparation for the new state of normal, as we kind of enter into this post-COVID pandemic world. So Copper deploys industrial sensors and software agents on an integrated IoT intelligence network to allow retailers to gather real-time visibility into their physical spaces.
My name is Alok Bhanot, and I'm the founder and CEO of Copper. Today, I look forward to sharing with you our vision and product capabilities. Copper is built on the belief that physical retail is inherently at a disadvantage, originating from the lack of data that digitally native businesses take for granted today. Our platform delivers improvements in monitoring, automation, and business operations they desperately need to stay competitive. We service a spectrum of use cases from occupancy and payments to food safety and energy management. So how do we do it? Businesses in physical spaces have to settle for suboptimal decisions today because of the lack of real-time operational data. Copper bridges this gap by capturing actionable metrics to help maximize profits. Our platform integrates data from our sensors and edge devices with on-site devices and equipment to deliver new insights and capabilities. Our team draws from decades of experience in building and operating one of the largest network of payment devices, and we aim to replicate that success at a larger scale with sensors and smart devices. Our vision is to dramatically improve the way technology is deployed and managed in retail and commercial spaces. With that introduction, let me walk you through a few key features of our product. The Copper platform is a massively scalable data engine in the cloud. We process millions of signals a day from thousands of locations, run them through our rules and analytics engine, and present anomalies on a dashboard. This dashboard is the face of our platform, and you can drill down from locations to zones to individual assets that are color-coded to show minor, major, or critical activities. We capture telemetry data from a variety of sources. We have people counters and thermal sensors for occupancy management, very relevant in the post-COVID world, where several states are requiring compliance and reporting on social distancing mandates for customers and employees. We have temperature, humidity, flow, and current sensors for energy and operational efficiency. We can detect anomalies in real time by comparing within cohorts on site or across locations or day-over-day comparisons. This allows us to improve troubleshooting, effectiveness, and issue resolution. Our analytics engine can trigger incidents and work orders and automatically manage rules-based remediation and user notifications. We have a rich collaboration capability on our web and mobile application, allowing cross-functional teams to work seamlessly as well as query and troubleshoot remote assets. Besides collaborating on the platform, users can configure filters to receive email and SMS notifications off-platform. These filters can be set up by location, by product, or by severity. Notifications can be set up by the users themselves or administrators on their behalf. Users can also be added to groups to better schedule and manage workloads within teams. Hope that gives you a good overview of who we are and what we do at Copper. Appreciate your time and attention and look forward to answering any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alok. We appreciate how fast startups are reacting to the pandemic and really offering some great solutions for the world in the post-pandemic environment. So thanks for that. And then up next, we have Bolt. So have you ever decided to buy something online? You get to the checkout, then you get distracted, which I always do, during the checkout process, and I actually never end up buying the product. Well, Bolt creates seamless buying experiences to help retailers and brands increase conversion and stay protected against e-commerce fraud with their first checkout experience platform.
At Bolt, our goal is simple. We want to make sure nothing gets in the way when your shoppers want to buy. You work hard to get your customers. And as a retailer, you face many challenges. You put time into product development, manufacturing, marketing strategies, promotions, and referrals, but often that can end up going to waste because, on average, 75% of customers abandon their cart at checkout. And every year, over $100 billion in revenue is lost to falsely identifying transactions as fraudulent. That's more than the amount that's lost to actual fraud. To solve these issues, Bolt was built as the world's first checkout experience platform. But what does that mean? Well, right now, e-commerce is a fragmented ecosystem that requires you to use different tools for checkouts, payments, and fraud prevention. Bolt is a single, powerful solution that replaces all of these with superior results in every area. Our checkout converts better, our order approval rates are much higher, and our payments process is seamless for the end user. So what makes our checkouts convert higher than the competition? Well, checkout, as we know it, hasn't really evolved in over a decade. The experience is often clunky with too many clicks and required fields, multiple redirects, and slow load times. The Bolt checkout is frictionless and streamlined, ensuring that the checkout experience is well integrated into your site, maintaining that same look and feel. More of your customers are shopping on mobile than ever before, and Bolt is made for mobile. Unlike other mobile checkouts that have endless scrolling with multiple redirects, Bolt is designed with mobile in mind. Our checkout saves the shopper, on average, 4 extra clicks, 8 additional fields, and shaves off anywhere from 35 to 90 seconds from the checkout flow. As you can imagine, this has a drastic impact on the rate of conversion, especially on mobile. Our checkout was also optimized to detect and deter fraud. So what makes our approach unique? Well, we combine user interaction and key payment data along with 200 other variables to verify shopper legitimacy. We also manually review and flag transactions to approve good orders and empower you to make the final authorization decision. Our human-enhanced approach to fraud leads to more approved orders, fewer false positive declined transactions, and complete coverage from fraudulent chargebacks. Our retailers love us. Check out our case studies on our website or visit our reviews on g2.com to hear it from them directly. When you join us, you benefit from Bolt's teams of engineers, designers, data scientists, and more. We constantly test, iterate, and improve the checkout experience, so you don't have to. Join us on our journey to perfect the checkout experience. Bolt's checkout experience platform is waiting for you. What are you waiting for?
Thank you very much, Bolt. So that will be the end of our startup presentations, but please don't bolt just yet. I'd like to say, firstly, a big thank you to all the startups who presented today. And now I'd like to introduce Karis from the Brand and Retail team to present the Corporate and Startup Awards for our program.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I'm Karis, and I'm the account manager for Brand and Retail team here at Plug and Play. And I'm very, very excited to take you all aboard the award ceremony. First award is Corporate Partner Award, which is given to recognize a partner who has engaged with our batch community and achieved special results. For Brand and Retail Batch 13, Corporate Partner Award goes to TJX. TJX, who operates TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, and other specialty retail stores, all of them are my favorite, has been with us for 3 years, one of our longtime partners. TJX has been very engaged with our batch startup community and events. The engagement wasn't limited to their innovation team, but also included other business units like store operations, sustainability, and digital experience, resulting in several different sessions and impressive follow-up discussion. Emily, our champion at TJX, is on the line. Congratulations, Emily. And would you like to say a few words about your experience working with Plug and Play?
Sure. Thanks, Karis. I would say that working with Plug and Play, and TJX has been very appreciative for how patient they have been with us throughout the process. We're definitely an organization that has done lots of crawling before we've kind of learned to walk, and we're still a little unstable, but making our way forward. And the biggest thing for us has really been trying to gain that traction internally with our key stakeholders. As Karis mentioned, having store ops and our supply chain folks, some people from our digital and marketing teams involved in the experience has really helped accelerate things, and really appreciative of Plug and Play helping us put all that together. I think down the road, it's really going to make a difference. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily. Next up, I'm happy to announce the Startup Award winner. The Startup Award is given to recognize a batch startup who has shown a strong commitment in working with corporations and an eagerness to solve problems and challenges with the world-class technologies. The Brand and Retail Batch 13 Startup Award goes to The Call List. The Call List has been a great addition to our batch, and their solution was recognized and complimented by many of our corporate partners. Congratulations, The Call List, and we appreciate your hard work and so excited about your bright upcoming journey. And I believe Amanda from Call List is on the line. Amanda, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much to Plug and Play for the exposure, the fantastic programming, and all of the brand and retail partners for their openness to collaboration. We feel so energized to be working on a problem that has unique relevance for this moment in retail and for society overall, and certainly honored to partner with brands and global communities working to bring people together and provide access to experiences and information.
Thank you so much, Amanda. So we'll reach out to you and Emily shortly to get your mailing address to send you the award. Again, congratulations to both of you. And now I'll pass it up to Kevin for the closing remarks.
Thanks, Karis. And thank you for all the startups that presented today. Some amazing pitches, all done seamlessly. You wouldn't realize that this was done over the web. Thank you to our corporate partners who took precious time out of their day to be with us. Thank you especially to the Plug and Play brand and retail team. This event took many nights of work and prep and Slacks and emails just to get done, especially because this is, for us, the first time ever doing this. Thank you to the AV team, the people behind this, and thank you to all the other people that we may have missed. These are obviously tough times, especially for our industry. But we believe, fundamentally that innovation is what will get us out of this. Innovating our product, innovating how we interact with consumers, innovating how we work. So we hope that you found some amazing startups today to work with. And all that we ask is that you connect, you work, and you learn from one another. Thank you for your time, and have a great day, everyone.